Governor's Award is the longest standing place to have a sustainability award. So the state of Illinois actually had the great insight of doing this, and it's been in place for approximately 30 years. It's unique not only on a national scale, but on a global scale, which sets us apart from everybody else. This is kind of the Emmy Award for sustainability. We try to pick a high-profile venue for this. Last year it was in Chicago. We had international visitors come, as well as folks from outside the state of Illinois. It's an award for Illinois municipalities and Illinois companies, but it means a lot more beyond the state of Illinois. It's great PR, and it makes a big difference for companies, for example, that are looking to do business outside the state, as well as from an international perspective. This is not an easy thing to get. It takes a lot of work, there's a lot of screening, and frankly, there's a lot of competition for these awards, which makes it great when you win.
Always looking to try to find value for our dollar spent, because it's not our money, it's our residents' money. And if we can find value through use of technology and bring down our costs, there's value for them. We looked at what we had and what we could do to make it work better, and then after we streamlined it, made it work better, then we looked at ways to augment that, and that's where the wind and the solar came in. It really made a lot of dollars and cents for us to go after those projects. We were on dual tracks when we looked at all these projects. The first is what can we do to make what we have better, and the second is where do we go from here? We've made significant capital investments in our sewer treatment plant, and we've not had to raise the rates. Part of it's because we're using newer technology and our costs are coming down a little bit. Our sewer rate is incredibly cheap. We're the government, we don't have any money unless we take it from somebody else, so they notice when we're not getting into their wallet. So basically we have a turbo blower with a dissolved oxygen sensor in the pond. It throttles up and down as it's needed to adjust to what the pond requires for treatment, as opposed to having a regular pump going wide open all day long. So there's significant savings there, almost 40% right off the get-go.
In 3 city buildings, we did lighting upgrades, and this being right here at City Hall. Here in the fire department, the old lighting system is old metal halide, which many people know is horrible lighting, flickers, dim, just bad stuff. And these have been upgraded to high efficiency T8 lamps, along with electronic ballast. Not only did they save a lot of money by going to more efficient technology, it's much brighter, clearer, less flicker, less hum.
Unique things about putting the new lights in here is we expected to see significant savings on our electric bill. It turned out to be the opposite. We saw increased use of the facility. More wedding receptions are booked here, more family events. We probably had 30% higher rental use here than we had previously. So the lights and just kind of spruced the place up, made it more viable in people's minds. So it's been a huge community asset for us. I've been with the city since 2005, and the first thing I noticed is that we were spending about $30,000 a year on electricity at our sewer plant. That's a huge number. You cut that back 40% and 60% like we've been able to do. It's a huge savings. It means a lot.
The average cost of electricity back in the late 60s, it was typically 2 cents, 2.5 cents. And now in this area, it's gone up 400%. Thinking next 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years down the road, we're looking at another couple 100% of increases in energy cost.
Environmental sustainability, especially toward water, is one of our 10 business principles. We realize water is a scarce resource because we are in over 155 countries. And then with that, we roll environmental sustainability into it and energy management. Since it's part of our business principles, we have targets that we have to maintain at the factory level. And every year we set targets and say what type of reductions do we want to have. The reduction number is top down, then the cultural part takes over where the people in the factory, HRSA and the environmental teams, and the people on the floor. So one of the things we try to really do, at least at this facility, is ensure that we have ideas coming from the floor and we try to implement ideas from the floor. Over 50% of all of our installations have been ideas generated from the floor that we implemented. 4 to 5 years ago, we became a network with 3 other factories, and we truly tried to say the smaller factories that have a smaller impact on energy and water, we would focus on cultural initiatives. And the larger factories that were more the energy hogs, I'll call it, would focus on projects that would reduce our overall footprint. Well, that approach really worked because since we're so much smaller, we could come up with all the ideas that could just be reapplied in these other big facilities. And ultimately, we made all of our reduction numbers. We worked kind of as a network to say, how do we benefit from working together? That's actually made a huge difference because now culturally all 4 factories are better because we're basically sharing ideas with them, and then they're basically taking care of some of the larger projects.
So some of the things we do for culture around here is we have Friends Helping Friends forums, behavioral-based safety, but we added a section just on environmental so we can focus on water reduction, recycling, and waste reduction, making sure we're turning off lights when we leave the room. We also send out environmental tips of the month, bullet points of environmental things that you can do not only here but at home as well. We had articles posted in the paper showing our initiatives that we've done here so the community knows that we are the green factory. Actually, when we went landfill free, we made a huge poster and put it out front so everybody could see. So we had a lot of response from the community that way. And then the solar panels, because you can see it on the side as well.
Yeah, exactly. And truly, I think landfill free was also something, it wasn't a company-wide initiative. The 4 factories just decided, let's just do something, let's go to the next level. What is it gonna, there is a cost impact to go landfill free because there is costs involved. But we just said, what do we need to do to go landfill free? We did a lot of research as a network. We proposed it to senior management. I would say it took us about 6 months to figure out how to become landfill free. And then literally 6 months later, we were the first within Nestle as a category to go landfill free in October of 2013.
Back in 2012, we really made the decision to undertake sustainability as a core guiding principle of our government and decided to engage the community in a contest to design a logo for sustainability. We selected the My Green Galena logo, and that has really set off our sustainability effort. And it's since been adapted to the City of Galena logo as well. Our elected officials and our staff, we really believe that local governments are the movers of change, that the change has to begin at our level or it won't happen. So we took it upon ourselves. We, in particular, had a solar energy project where we saw the need to reduce our electrical consumption. Solar was the right option for us. That particular project really led us into the sustainability field and has been really successful. We believe our solar array is one of the largest municipally owned systems in the whole region. Our solar energy project has probably saved us right around $40,000 a year, and that's through a combination of avoided costs of purchasing the power and also the net metering revenue from selling back power that we're unable to use. So we're actually making excess power. In 2013, we made the decision to relocate City Hall to a former grocery store that was built in 1959, made a number of significant energy-saving improvements in the retrofit. We added a lot of daylighting with skylights, a new roof, high efficiency HVAC, new thermopane windows, LED lighting throughout. Even took it to the outside where we used low or no water perennials. We believe that every building should be a product of its own time period, and that's what we've attempted to do here in Galena. Sustainability, we think, still fits on top of all that. City Hall being a case in point where, though we're located in the heart of the downtown historic district, a big national historic district, we still believe solar panels, for instance, on the rooftop are appropriate. And we've actually taken that decision all the way through our Historic Preservation Commission. They agree, they've bought into it. Again, sustainability is really at the core of our decision making. I think some people might think that sustainability doesn't work in a historic community like Galena, a very historic downtown. But I think we would beg to differ with that. One of our current projects, for instance, is replacing all of our street lighting. We've had and have a very quaint downtown, but we've just retrofitted all the high-pressure sodium bulbs with LED, saving us, we think, over 70% each year. Galena was really a very early adopter of curbside recycling going back way into the early 1990s, and we've continued with that. We've made it easier for our residents, allowing them to commingle, moving to a pay-as-you-throw garbage system, which encourages recycling. We've gone beyond that really into electronics recycling, batteries, CFL bulbs, and prescription medications, all at no cost to our residents.
The North Lawndale Employment Network ventured into the bee business because it was almost sort of like an accidental beekeeper situation. We were desperately seeking to find creative ways to ensure employment opportunities for men and women that have criminal backgrounds, people who have served their time for their crimes, but really were having difficulty reintegrating back into society, to help people who really wanted to turn their lives around, but we could not find jobs for them after completing training. We met with these beekeepers, and they basically said that beekeeping it's a profession and or a hobby that's passed on through storytelling. And it was in that moment that I realized that this could be something that our people could do and be successful at it. And the more I learned about bees and the more I learned about what it would take to be successful, the more I knew in my soul that it was going to be the right direction to go. We're sustainable, I think, in a number of different ways. Certainly, beyond the issue of mass incarceration in this country, I think we've come up with a market-driven solution to the issue, and that in itself is certainly economically sustainable. I'm really happy to say that we had our first profitable year this year, and so that's really encouraging about what the future looks like. But mostly, it really has changed the way that our clients and our staff and our friends think about the honeybee, and how critically important she is to the ecosystem, how critically important she is to our food system, and that literally a third of our food supply is dependent on pollination, and honeybees are a huge percentage of that pollination. And to talk about the importance of honeybees, really understanding it and taking that education into an urban environment. And so we're doing two things. We're encouraging people to become beekeepers themselves, right? And plant local native plants to Illinois, but to also to be gentle with bees, especially honeybees, that they're the only insect that produces a substance that is consumable by humans. It really wasn't about beekeeping as much as it was about the work. It was getting up every day, punching in, and learning about a skill or a trade, doing the work, working with a team, working for a supervisor, managing conflict, taking everything that we teach in class and giving it real world, practical experience. Beekeeping was a means by which to teach people work ethic. They're getting all kinds of jobs in a variety of different sectors because the first thing we had to do was show that after incarceration, that you can be a productive member of a workplace. And so that's been proven. We know that now. We're currently operating 131 hives. So we have an apiary in North Lawndale, but we also have the largest apiary in partnership with an airport in the United States at O'Hare Airport. With our state being and the city being so committed to green and being more sensitive to the environment, it's been a beautiful partnership. That has enabled us to maintain the demand for our product and be able to support all of the distribution partners. I am really happy to share that we have hired over 400 men and women through Sweet Beginnings, and that less than 4% of these people have returned to prison. And that compares against the national average for recidivism at about 55 to 60%. But that is not happening here in North Lawndale. That is not happening through Sweet Beginnings. And so we're really, really very proud of that.
Sustainability is new for all corporations in general, but I think winning this award really put us on the map, especially for Nestle,
Yeah.
because it got promoted all throughout the United States and other
Absolutely.
factories saying,
Absolutely.
hey, this is what Jacksonville's doing, look what they're doing, and look what you can do.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it was a great honor for us.
Yeah. Unless you have passionate people who are really passionate people and engaged employees, you're done. You won't be able to sustain a program without those two. So that's the way we think about it, and that's the way the program is set up.
And since we've received the award, there's just more energy, more enthusiasm, and each subsequent project that we've taken to the council, I think we've had unanimous votes on all of them to move forward. I think there is a sense of pride like we haven't had before, because our citizens know that we're a leader in this area.
It's been a nice feather in our cap. It kind of reaffirms the decisions that our city council and the mayor have been making to take that next step and do something that's a sustainable program. It's a little bit further out of the norm for small communities. They stuck their necks out there, and it kind of reaffirmed what they did and those decisions, so I appreciate that.
One of the benefits of being a recipient of the Governor's Sustainability Award is that it validates your work. It's one of those special recognitions that we put on all of our email signature lines because we're just so proud to know that the work that we're doing is making a difference and that our state recognized it.
This is a great example of how you can protect those resources, but also grow your business. Because I can't tell you the number of times that people have said, well, look, I can't grow economically if I can't, go and do this thing which will be bad for the natural resources. These awards demonstrate that no, you can preserve those resources and simultaneously grow your business. So that is why I think this award is very critical. It demonstrates it can be done, it's being done in Illinois, and again, it's what sets us apart as Illinoisans.